By small and simple things are great things brought to pass. A small seed becomes a towering tree. The small efforts we make to do our family history can also bring about great results. We can become instruments in the Lord's hands in bringing about the salvation of many souls.
I know with my own personal work, the richest returns that I've got were when I talked to relatives, because each relative I spoke to all had 3 or 4 other people for me to contact, and it just built on each other, and family registers came to my possession that I didn't know existed.
Great things can come from very small means. One letter or email, one phone call, one interview can produce rich blessings.
I made a phone call to a very distant relative. He'd never heard of me before, and I introduced myself. And I told him that I was trying to get information on our common ancestors. He said, I've given all my records to my daughter, and gave me her name and her phone number. I gave her a phone call, and she was very excited to hear from me and invited me over immediately. And so I went to her home the next day, I believe it was, and we had a wonderful conversation. She gave me some more information, but perhaps more than any other thing that she could have shared with me was the fact that she had a family Bible from our common ancestor who was born in 1744. What a wonderful blessing that was, because out of literally thousands and thousands of descendants, in 2 phone calls, I got to one of the original sources of the family.
I was very timid when I began. I was nervous about contacting these people because I thought, what if somebody I didn't know contacted me and asked for all of my family background? But what I have found is that the Spirit of the Lord always was there before me, preparing the way. And it truly is as if the Lord has prepared everything. And all I need to do is just start walking, just take a step at a time, and I am guided.
Our story, it was just amazing, because you think that you have forever to go and interview your grandparents or your relatives, but you don't. We actually felt an urgency to go and interview my grandparents, her parents. And so we called them up, made an appointment, and I wanted to make it electronic. So brought a camera, brought a recording device so we could keep it forever, and we went and interviewed them and heard about their stories.
It turned out to be a wonderful experience. We interviewed both of them. My dad was a little hesitant at first, but he warmed up to it. And an interesting side note of this is we learned things that day that if we hadn't done that, stories would have been lost, because about a week after that, my mom suddenly passed away. What was just a nice experience at the time, all of a sudden became such a treasure to us. And one other little thing, she had been talking about the fact that she needed to write down her life story. She needed time to work on their stories. And as we were preparing for the funeral, I found the box where she had her clippings and her writings of her story, and that was a real treasure for us at that point to be able to find that she had taken time to do that for us.
So many times I had the thought come into my mind that so many of the things I spend my life doing won't matter or won't be around or won't exist a few years from now. But what I do in family history and in the temples, it will last forever. The things that I have been allowed to help do will still stand. There's no force in this universe that can undo that or can destroy that. And it is an incredible privilege that we're allowed to help in this work, that Heavenly Father, I think, allows to help us in something with such eternal magnificence.
You are not just gathering names. Those who you never met in life will become friends you love. Your heart will be bound to theirs forever.